What's up, guys? It's me here. So, are you tired of renting money to your landlord? Do you dream of owning a home one day? Well, it's a question that many people find themselves asking because there are pros and cons to both scenarios. On one hand, renting offers flexibility and freedom from maintenance, while buying provides stability and the opportunity to build equity. So, let's discuss the financial pros and cons of each option, so you could decide which is right for you. Starting first with renting. In most cases, this is going to be the cheaper option, especially if you value your time and hate doing home improvement projects on the weekends. That's because when you rent, you're essentially paying someone else to take on all of the risk of owning a home in exchange for a discounted rate. For example, say you found a property for rent at $2,000 per month. The owner of that property has to pay for all of the insurance, maintenance, repairs, property taxes, and they're also taking a loss on any potential appreciation. In exchange for that, they receive a steady stream of income without having to do anything, and you get access to the property at a discounted rate. Generally, the more properties that they own, the more affordable it becomes for them and the more expensive it becomes for you. Just think about it. Would you rather pay $2,000 a month in rent? Or would you rather buy an identical home for $400,000, pay $30,000 a year in property taxes, $15,000 a year in insurance, and then whatever it may cost to fix a broken water pipe in the middle of the night? Of course, not to mention if you wanted to make any improvements, you'd have to wait until the seller made those upgrades or simply do it yourself after you bought the place. But beyond just saving money, renting also provides a lot more freedom and flexibility. Say you want to travel the world for 6 months or move closer to work, or maybe you got offered a job in another state. Renting makes it easy to pick up and go with a 30-day or 60-day notice without having to worry about selling your house. You don't need to list your home on the market. You do not need to wait for a buyer to close, and you don't have to pay a real estate agent. In addition to that, renting can be a great way to test out a new area before you actually commit to buying there. Maybe you want to live in a certain neighborhood or school district, but you're not sure if you really like the area. Renting gives you the opportunity to try it out for a little while without having to worry about making such a huge long-term commitment. However, even though renting might make sense financially, buying a home does have its advantages. For example, when you buy a home, a portion of every mortgage payment goes towards building equity in your property. Let's say you got a $300,000 mortgage at 4% over 30 years. Your monthly payment would be $1,868, and over the next 30 years, $306,000 of that would go towards paying off your loan and building equity in your home. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean you actually have $306,000 cash on hand to do whatever you want with, but it does mean that your investment is growing tax-free, and eventually that equity could be used as leverage to buy even more properties. Not to mention the fact that buying a home locks in your housing payment for as long as you keep the loan. This means that your housing payment will not fluctuate with the market, unlike rent, where prices could go up at the end of every month or every year. Beyond that, home ownership comes with certain tax deductions, but only in the United States, which we'll talk about in another video. But regardless of the reasons why you want to buy a home, you should know that it's quite a bit more complicated than renting. For one, you'll have to deal with maintenance, repairs, and everything else that comes along with owning a property. Like if something breaks, it's on you to fix it. And on top of that, you're now responsible for the entire cost of any repairs, which could end up being quite expensive if something goes wrong. Second, even though you might lock in a fixed interest rate for 30 years, you still have to come up with a down payment. And if you can't afford a 20 down payment, you're going to be stuck with private mortgage insurance for as long as you do not pay off the loan below 80. Third, buying a home is a very long-term commitment. It's not like you can just pick up and move whenever you want to. Instead, you have to sell your home, which takes time, costs money, and requires you to follow a very specific plan. So, which is better? Honestly, it depends. If you're young, just starting out and don't want the responsibility of owning a home, then renting could be the better option so you could save some extra cash, gain some extra flexibility, and spend your money elsewhere. But if you're ready to settle down, you have a stable income, and you've saved enough for a down payment, then buying a home could be worth it. Either way, the choice is yours. There's no clear-cut winner, but hopefully this gives you a little more insight on the financial implications of each option. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, feel free to add me on social media. Enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.